Hey, Rachel, it's nice to meet you. My name is Carson, and I'm going to be your social worker that's completing this assessment today. Um,
Okay.
we're just going to jump right into it. Can you start off by telling me a little bit about your family of origin? And by family of origin, I mean who was in your household, who'd you grow up with, who made up your family?
Okay. So yeah, my mom and dad have been married for about like 31 years. And then they had 10 children. So like the best way for me to describe it's like this. So it was Ashley, Nick, Chelsea, Kyle, me, I'm Rachel, and then Emma, Noah, Isabella, and Sam. So my family of origin like is really weird because like yeah, there's 10 of us, but like the oldest one is 35, the youngest is 14, so like that big gap, like not all of us were in the household together at the same time, but I was in the household with everybody around the same time.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's really interesting. I'm sure that was kind of it could be hard to adjust to, like certain siblings leaving at one point and some of them getting older. So you kind of got to see everyone grow up and all their different stages of life. That's really cool. So can you tell me about the relationships you had with them? Like, were you close with any of your siblings or with your
Yeah,
parents?
my oldest sister, Ashley, which she's 35 and I'm 22, so I feel like that's a pretty big age gap. She's just a lot different than I am. Like, she went to Western and then got a degree and like just became like just a really classy lady and had this lifestyle of just going out like to bars and stuff and getting fancy drinks, and she didn't have kids and they just like to travel and go to Chicago. So I didn't really have a relationship with her. My older brother Nick, he's right under her. I'm not really with him either. But it's weird because my older sister Chelsea, she's 32, so me and her are a 10-year gap, but we hang out a lot. And my older brother Brett, the same thing. He built a house right down the road from mine. We see each other a lot. And then my brother Kyle, we have always had a close bond just because we're 2 years apart. And then my little sister Emma, who's right underneath me, we're 2 years apart. So we stay pretty close, and she helps with my son. But as far as Noah, Isabel, and Sam, I don't really have that close relationship with them. So you can see on like both sides how on the older gap and then the younger, I don't really have anything going on with them.
Okay, well, that's awesome. It sounds like you probably have a big support system then with all your siblings.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about your parents?
Um, my parents, um, well, so my dad, he has always worked a lot. So he always works 7 days a week. He has always done construction, and then he has his own brick cleaning business. So he always works and always has 7 days a week my whole life. And then my mom is a stay-at-home mom because it was kind of like, why pay for daycare at this point? Like you would just be working to pay for it. So she kept us at home until we went to school, of course. But my dad, he was like really strict on us. He like wanted us to be, kind to other people, and for us to have like a good upbringing. Like he really cared about like stuff we wore. Like he didn't want us wearing like Walmart clothes because he thought that we deserved better because he didn't have the best growing up. So like he really cared about like what we wore and like what kind of cars we drove as we got older, and like he always cared about our grades in school, and like he was just really strict. He didn't really ever have to chime in until it was to the point where like my mom would complain and be like, hey, like Rachel is sneaking out of her window, we need to do something. So, but as far as my mom, she has stayed at home, and she has had nothing but time on her hands. So she just like calls everybody on the phone all hours of the night, and it's so annoying. So she doesn't really have a parenting style. It's so weird how to describe her because like she doesn't ever really tell us or ever tell us in the past, like what to do or how to do it. It was just more you need to do it now, and if you didn't, nothing really happened until she just got so mad that she would go to my dad about it. Like my dad, I guess, would make the final decision, even though he wasn't really there a whole lot.
Okay, well, that's interesting. It sounds like your parents care a lot about y'all and that they kind of had their dynamic and that your dad worked really hard to make sure y'all had the best and really cared a lot about y'all.
Oh yeah, he always cared about that.
Mhm. Well, that's awesome. I know you mentioned, so it sounds like you come from a big family, obviously, which has its pros and cons, I'm sure, but it sounds like you have a close relationship with some of your siblings that are closer in age, and there's a little bit of a rift between you and the older ones. And it sounds like you and your parents, like you said, your mom's calling you all the time, so y'all still keep in contact. And did you mention you have a son?
Yeah.
Okay. Are they pretty involved with him too, your parents?
Yeah, my Anson, he's one. And my little sister Emma, she's I say little, but she's 20. And she does online school and she still lives with my parents. So they my mom and my sister are able to keep Anson for me during the day while I work.
Okay, well that's awesome. I'm
So
sure.
I go there 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's nice to have them and have that family support. Um, well, thank you for sharing all that with me. In the upcoming sessions, I would like to touch on just kind of how birth order, like you said, you're a middle child. I know a lot of kids, if they're in the middle, they feel like they kind of have to like compete for attention or kind of be the best and strive to be the best. So we can
Mhm.
kind of talk about how maybe that's shaped how you are today and your parenting style, how you had one kind of more laid back parent and one that was a little bit more disciplinary, is what it sounds like. But we can touch more on those topics in later sessions if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. That sounds good. So we'll get with the receptionist and have her schedule another appointment. But that was all for the assessment. I just kind of wanted to get a feel of how you grew up and um, who helped raise you, and maybe in future sessions we can kind of touch on why you are the way you are and how that stuff shaped you.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Nice to meet you. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Mhm.